Today we have one of the most interesting personalities in Jamaican music, and we're not talking about Copeland Forbes, we're talking about Delroy Wilson. We also have a special guest, the Honorable Copeland Forbes Order of Distinction, celebrating a big Leo birthday, because we don't say Leo run things, because my birthday on Thursday I come, so you don't know. And the interesting thing, I've known about Copeland long before Copeland knew about me, because I used to see him come on Aquarius Records a half a tree all the while with all them people used to hang out there that talk about Leroy Smart, Beres Hammond, them guys from the Tamlins, the Mighty Diamonds. Everybody used to hang out at Aquarius Record Shop and Copeland. But one of the most memorable persons for me who used to hang out at Aquarius was Bunga Herman. And, we need to have a conversation with him shortly. But big up, Copeland. Welcome to Sunday Scoops again. I know, Phil, you have a big book launch coming up shortly.
Yeah, I was just saying it's just great for having me this special weekend, because it's a memorable weekend in many different occasions besides my birthday, so, it's fresh in my mind. Even last night at the stadium, I reminisce at the spot that I did all my official duties and so on. So it's a good weekend.
Yeah, man. So the man have a big Jamaica flag flying on the background.
Use the opportunity to say, first of all, after all of that title that the next man from the Leo side, because we can't manage the other one.
Yeah, we don't have no Kingston College there. Leo we are talking about.
One program. But again, Copeland, happy belated birthday.
Thanks very much. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. Still celebrating.
Oh, you can't stop celebrating. My mother always say every day above ground is a day for celebration.
Yeah.
And from the whole Sunday Scoop crew, including Bluebeard, Magic Round at the back there. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Again, Copeland, this is a seminal occasion. 60 years, it is 60 years that you have been involved in the music business as well.
Exactly.
And while the show is, we have you on here because we want to celebrate Delroy Wilson today. But I want to use the opportunity to just, give you a big salute, because 60 years is not a little thing. So I can put on a salute, say, there you go, right? Salute your party. 60 years in the business, 60 years of independence, and 60 years of seminal work. Delroy Wilson, we always wanted to do the show for Delroy, but as Garth and I discussed, let's have you, because you work with all of these guys, and I think nobody is better able to
give us more of
that story,
an intimate insight
than yourself. Also, you are on the threshold of launching your book that has been almost 20 years in the making, and I'm pretty sure you will have a little to say about it. No, you don't want to give away anything until the official, give away anything about the book itself until the official launch.
But I like him to give us some book.
But we're going to get there. So here what we're going to do. Let us get the thing started with a little piece of Delroy, first of all.
Born in 1948.
And get the show on the road. You know what we should do is run a couple pieces of Delroy Wilson too, and then we're gonna come right back to Copeland.
Yeah, so we're gonna start off with just one of the two pieces, Richie.
Yeah.
We're gonna start off with his first recording called Emmylou, which was done in 1963, and the next year would have been 60 years since that recording. So, boy, we have traveled fast. Yeah, that was Emmylou. 1963, and Joe Leagues, about the same year, cut at the venerable Studio One Studios.
Now, Mr. Copeland, you have been around with these guys from the inception. Delroy, a man born in Trenchtown, and you went to school at at Boys Town School as well?
No, he was at Boys Town. I started out at Chitula Park with Marcia, Bunny Whaler, Slim Smith, all of us were, and Frederick Wade from the original Techniques, We were all at Chitula Park School. Then we went to All Saints, and then I go on to Kingston Senior. Bunny went on to Camperdown. Gregory went on to music from there, and but we were close because there was a Boy Scout troop at Boys Town.
Right.
school that Delroy was down by, so we always run into each other quite a lot when I go down there for scouting activities, so that's how I first came to know him.
We have 2 pictures in a scout short pants, we're going to probably see if we can feature them. But
I try to put together a scout salute,
the scout salute.
Yeah, man. Be prepared, Yeah, man.
Boy, I tell you,
was that troop leader too, Richie?
Well, I was,
the scouts
I was
thing.
in the bigger part. Who this Copeland?
Boy, I tell you, this was the little boy that was selected to represent Jamaica in many international events, starting from 61 in Trinidad at the Caribbean Games, and 62 at last night's oh gosh, Jesus Kingdom.
That's a Princess Margaret.
Yes, this is when the first opening of Parliament, when we celebrated 1962, and she came to represent her sister, which was Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth, right? She had her husband, Lord Snowden. So Colonel Efford came from Buckingham Palace, and for some reason they chose me to be the official car door opener to travel around with the royal family. Here now is a very memorable one, because last night I was standing right at that same spot. And I was telling Miss Grange that I was standing on the right there with the umbrella because it was raining and waiting for the royal party to come, because I have to be close to them in every step they made, So it was really a great feat for a little 15-year-old boy,
So, well, Copeland, I'll tell you this though, you are a walking encyclopedia,
Especially has to do with Jamaica.
Yeah, when it comes to this Jamaican culture, you nobody. What that magic?
Pulling in now, see that?
Yeah, man, with the umbrella. Eh?
Yeah.
Boy, you look so serious.
What color was that umbrella?
You never had a lunch.
What color was that umbrella? Black, green, and gold?
Yes, it had red, green, and gold umbrella was given to me. And last night, myself, Ali McNabb, Miss Green, stood at the same position there on the right and by the flag, and she told me it's the same original flagpole from 1962. So I was standing in history 60 years ago in the same spot that I stood then.
Well,
so it
all
really,
the more reason why we know we made the right choice when we invited you to come on the show today. Because
we were seen ahead of me. I never knew I was going there.
There you go. So you see, but it's a culture, and it's the fact that your name, your footprint, your handprint is all over Jamaica's music, and I don't think a lot of people appreciate the role that you played, because you wasn't necessarily a singer. Man say,
I'm used to drop legs.
But you need to dig into the history, and that is why we're looking forward to the book. But let's talk about Delroy, because I think, unlike you, because you are here and you can speak for yourself. People like a Delroy Wilson. How do you regard Delroy and his contribution to the music, Copeland?
Well, I can tell you, knowing him from then, because he's just 1 year younger than me, right? And I remember going to Studio One with my little group and my motor organ, the Harmony Cats, the first group I was in, And I'm going up to Studio One. I could barely get past the front gate, right? Because inside there was stalwarts of singers with guitars, and your harmonies was the order of the day, Right. And then this little boy, I said, then if he can't get in, then me can get in there, man. So I get into the yard. And I was even under the tree, and when a lot of the blues blasters, not busters, blasters, and some other groups singing and so on.
That is Clue J's group.
Yes, and they said, this little boy, reminds me of Dennis Brown in the same bracket thing. Was the one that put out all those hits I've been hearing on the radio. And so I started admiring from then, and then when I go down to Boys Town to scout meet and run into him, they would sit and talk. And he was an example, right, for the youths coming up, because those years, to be a singer was degraded, was looked down on, right? You ever turn singer boy, parents don't want you to go into them kind of things, because it was looked down on. But him, as one of the youngest at the time, was turning out hits after hits after hits.
Yeah, I understand at 13 years old, he had, what was it, got about 7 or 8 tunes
Yeah, man,
that
I
were
mean,
on the charts.
Yes.
At 13 years old, in fact, when he started singing, he could barely reach the microphone. They had to give, remember them days, he had
like
a
a red
big
stripe box.
cardboard red
Yeah.
stripe box, and him stand up
Right.
on the red stripe box to reach a microphone. But you imagine a 13-year-old in a you know, dominating, because at them time it was more, it was ska and a little bit of blues, eh?
Right.
And here is a little 12, 13-year-old boy. I fling down some tune that whole heap of bigger man than him can't walk in a film footprint.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know?
You know.
But and that is the thing for me. When you look back and you say, how can somebody make this huge contribution, but the system on outside of people like yourself and, you know, perhaps us, what we're doing here, nobody talk about Delroy Wilson, you know?
At least not in a venerable way.
No,
You know, the same kind of respect and breadth that Dennis Brown or Bob Marley gets. Nobody really sees Dennis Brown in the same light.
You mean Delroy?
I mean, Delroy Wilson in the same light.
But yet, as you've just pointed out to Copeland, a lot of these singers too were looking at him as an example in terms of, you know, how to think. Speak a little bit more about that for us.
Yeah, you see, being such a young person, and it's an art that your people are looked upon. He's caught in a cross section there.
Right.
And it's a good example for the new ones who say, but if him can do it, I can do it too. You know? And you know, when he started churning out these hits after hits, especially when it's spit in the sky, fall in your eye, that's no lie, you know, and them tune that everybody starts to what? And he was the talk of the town at all the dances them. You know, when you talk about Shady Groove, Rona Paristas, all these dance places, was this little 12, 13-year-old boy ruling the dance, you know. So it was a good thing for people to look up to and have great hope from the others, because he was in parallel or probably a little stronger than even when the Wailers at that time, you know. Because
he definitely was. Based on my research says that the Wailers basically step aside when this little youth come in the street, because remember, to Coxsone, if I remember, was using him. There was a feud between Coxsone
and Prince Buster,
and Coxsone with Duke Reid to a lesser extent. And so he was kind of the ammunition, because when Coxsone wanted to trace one of them, him just get the microphone and say, cut a tune. And which take us to Spit in the Sky. We're going to just touch a few of those and
we had alluded to that with Joe Liggs. That was one of the first songs. And then let's play Spit in the Sky and a couple of those. Yeah, you heard Spit in the Sky.
You know, I was laughing all along, you know. I was laughing all along because I don't know if you know now. It's them songs that chewing word at somebody.
Yeah, man.
Well, no, you
Prince Buster, but you're going to enlighten our darkness.
Because number one, remember Prince Buster was Coxsone bodyguard, you know. A lot of people may not know that, right? And that's why Coxsone have that left hook there, you know, him called Jackson, you know.
Yes.
So it was chewing words because Prince gone out for the moon now and doing him thing now, you know. So it's a competitive era there. But Coxsone was like a father figure to Delroy, you know. And Delroy saw that, you know what I mean? And Delroy decided to stick his ground. So it was nice back in those days when them song coming out, because they're showing words and ear there. The Duke and the Sir and the King is gonna clip your wing.
That the Duke and the Sir, that's Duke Reid.
Right.
And Sir
Coxsone.
They went
giant forces. We're going to play that again, man. Clip him wing.
But the thing that I find incredible about this whole, especially, you know, the use of this Yaawd song and the use of a little youngster like this, because he was very, very well. Let me rephrase that. How effective was it?
It broke up. I didn't hear the last part.
I said, how effective was this from a from a dancehall perspective?
Well,
The true word thing.
It wasn't, there was no violent thing attached. That's number
Right.
one. It was a lot of humor right there and then. So it's just jokes, you know, I mean, everybody enjoying it and throwing words, because them know Prince don't take nothing lying down, you know, because you know him when come back with something, you know.
Kind of like
You
what
know,
happened between Iroy and Jasbo.
Exactly, you know.
No,
So,
Prince Buster was wicked, man. Prince Buster
Yeah,
don't
man.
lie down for nothing.
yeah,
at
him
all.
don't take anything lying
No,
down, you know what I
he-
mean? No matter what it is, him coming back at you, you know. And he did, you know, with a fiery set of songs them, you know, so
yeah,
many.
man. And I remember him control him own production, so him can wheel
Right.
about 10
Yes,
songs.
at this stage now, yeah, him don't have to have,
And him is
him
a
don't have
solid
to,
writer too.
you know,
Yeah.
wait on nobody. Him control him own production, so he can do what he wants, you know. And it was very amusing, entertaining, and these were like the highlights of dances during them time there. Because when people start to hear them song, they them just make a lot of fun out of it too. And those who supporting one set of man and those who supporting the next set, you know, just come together, you know, and doing their whole thing and so on. It was great. Really
That's
great.
a question, which begs another question, Copeland, because, you know, 1960, 2022, 1962, 2022, 60 years hence, you know, you were there. And so I like inviting people like yourself to sort of set the tone, kind of paint a picture for the listeners. You know, remember we do this show, as you well know, is an archive. So, you know, somebody who come in, the atmosphere at the time, the 1960s, where we were, the country, you know, is just a few years independent, and all of this activity going on, the backing and forth between the two.
And this was 1963, so this is like
Right,
just 1 year after
one year
independence.
after. You know,
Exactly.
so you go to a dance. What is the atmosphere like in a dance environment? As you say, one set of man back, this sound man, and next set of man. How that play out inside the dancer? Let's say the three sound them will clash at the dancer. How that work? You know, Copeland, we could not. Read the thing. Woo!
You know what this is?
The bandwagon.
The bandwagon. Amazing. Talk to us here, Copeland, because listen, again, we touched a little spoonful out of the catalog, because the rocksteady era, if you ask me, Delroy Wilson owned that. I hear people, you know, music critics, they talk about, well,
Alton Ellis.
Alton Ellis and so on.
Yeah.
Not taking anything. I'm an Alton Ellis fan. I'm a Dennis Brown, but I'm also a big fan of Delroy Wilson music, because I think it. But how would you rate Delroy? And we're not pitting one against the other, but in the leagues of Horace and the Alton Ellis, you know, that core that came out of that rocksteady era. How would you place Delroy?
Well, you know, if you listen to the songs you were doing then in the rocksteady era, you can tell now that he has overcome that depressive part that he went through. So he's now singing songs that, you know, make you laugh, make you uplifting songs now, and him telling you, say, I'm not a king, you know. I don't know which is called my own, but here am I still going. And he
he's
was
a true believer in love and feeling good all over. And
exactly. So by the lyrics of the song that he was doing then, you know, he's just on par with just about everybody. Yes. You have to understand, like Alton coming out of a machinery of Treasure Isle, you know, who have them Saturday show and, you know, big and thing and so on, to get the kind of PR work. But Delroy was right up there too, because he had it's churning out. And when I look back at that little piece that you show with Jammy's, that's where Bunny Lee did all his work up at Jammy's studio, and a lot of stuff with Delroy was done up there, you know. And I must live mad to Striker, you know, because I mean, he was always there as like a rescue unit for those who have fallen on the rough times, so to speak, that he can keep them valuable, because he made so many trips to the UK, so he could come back and fill you in with what's happening and so on, you know. But Delroy was right up there. standing strong, in demand, just the same way, like everybody else. Never get the big international push though, and I think that kind of take a little toll on him. That coming from the same school of almost everybody who's out there internationally now, and yes, when he goes overseas, he just shows into the diaspora, the Jamaican diaspora or Caribbean diaspora, but not getting that big. I don't even remember if he has ever done a tour of Europe, so to speak.
Right. I
So,
don't think he did, sir. That is
right.
True. He went to London. He spent a lot. He went
Yes.
to England for quite a bit.
Yes,
And-
mostly in London and
Right.
the nearby places, them and so on, and New York, Brooklyn and so on.
Right.
But
Yeah. Quite a slew of songs. Last one being my favorite, Have Some Mercy. We played Run Run, Can I Change My Mind? How Can I Love Someone? Rain from the Skies. And Call on Me.
All right. The question I wanted to throw after, because I know that around this time, I know you were away for a while, Copeland, but you had started to dabble in the managing, certainly the tour management side of the music business, but I found it curious. I am curious as to how come. Because you saw what was going on in the industry, but you didn't become too involved from an artist management standpoint. How come?
I dabbled in artist management,
Well,
But what happened is that you have to doing so many tours, and artists were just coming to me about that. My actual first management was actually with Mighty Diamonds. Right, when I took over them in 1976, after they were signed to Virgin, and they were at Channel One, and they had hits all over the place. And Ken Williams, a friend of mine in New York, was putting on a concert, and he wanted the Diamonds on it, So I came down to Jamaica, and I met with them, and Tabby was my schoolmate. I've known him from about 9-10-year-old when I used to live at Greenwich Street, and him live up the top of Greenwich Street, and he was in my All Saints Scout troop. So I started managing then, right? And then I moved on and I worked with Peter Tosh. I started off first as a personal assistant in the early 70s, and then I moved up to a road manager and then up to managerial position. And then I started managing a few other acts like Master Grip Solution, and I managed quite a few. But because
that's the thing. I know you. My knowledge of you is on the tour management side, and I guess because how I came into the music. I mean, for me it was from the fun side, but I connected you with the Diamonds definitely. You did work with. I know your relationship with Sly and Robbie them. I know about the relationship too with Peter Tosh. But I was curious because Delroy being such a prodigy, did I get that word right? Prodigy. I was just curious, seeing that amount of potential, and him kind of looking like a lost sheep, if you will, with a phenomenal catalog of music, but just not any direction. And have you ever just revisited that from a thought perspective?
What you said, it was really on point, because he was very close to Peter Tosh. I can tell you that. Peter and him used to spar closely, right? When I walk through All Saints, time I scout, and I go on Mr. Myers' shop at Askew Street corner and Livington Street to buy guitar strings and all that kind of stuff. So they've been close, and we talked about him many times. But during that time, he was being surrounded, and we always thought that he was under, the management coming through Striker and all those people. And as I said, Minister Grange, then when I was working with Peter Tosh, was handling his career. I don't know who exactly was like his permanent manager, so to speak, but I have never really seen a reason to go there, because by then my hands was tied up with a lot of things. I used to cross the Atlantic twice a week during the summer, because I have one group starting a tour in Europe, one starting a thing, and I go back and forth, and I was moving like that, and a lot of groups that I I actually I tour manage them too, because if I can do both to save expenses, I do the same thing. And even though sometimes I do a lot of tour managing, I was doing managerial duty with a lot of them too. Lot of them, you know what I mean? I never collect as a manager yet. I never get a management commission in my life, you know, with all these groups I work with, you know, never ever yet.
So you're just as bad as the artist them then.
You know that may tell you, but I can't. People said, "Why you keep doing it?" Because if I didn't do it, I wouldn't have nothing to talk about. No, because I don't look at what is the beginning. I look at the down the
salute you, sir. Salute you, sir.
So that's the reason why I will continue doing it and so on, because I work with almost every 98% of these artists from over the years, and not one ever look for me and give me a management commission yet. I mean, I be the manager at the time, being the tour manager, but I'm doing the managerial work. You know, and doing everything like that. But I don't look at that part, because my reward going to come down the line. We didn't get my reward yet, you know. I mean, no, it's still down the line.
You're very much, you're very near there, though. If I have
to
say something.
I don't know. You know, I leave everything to the Almighty. But I just continue doing the positive things, you know, that is required into the industry. You know, it's like last night being at this stadium and talking with people like Ali McNam and Jackie Campbell, you know, and other dignitaries who were there, and Tom Finson, you know, we have a little powwow. And we're talking about the history of the music coming up and your experiencing. And people may think that, you know, I'm rich. I'm rich in spirit and rich in knowledge, but I'm not rich in finance.
Right? Modesty is going to get you everywhere.
Exactly, you know. So that's why I brought it up, that I don't remember seeing Delroy ever doing a tour yet, you know. I'll just give you a quick example. Right. During my management with John Holt, and when I decided to take John Holt to Europe to do some show, John said, "I never come to Europe yet, you know." He said, "You never come to Europe yet?" I said, "No." You know, I said, "Okay, we're going to France, Germany, and another place and thing." And him said, "You go select which tune for do?" We then make a research, and the tune named Police in Helicopter was the tune that mashed up the whole of Europe. And "Okay, Fred," that he wrote. So it's the same thing now with Delroy. He has done like Reggae Japan Splash, the spring version. You know, I've never really seen him on the summer version. The spring version is to have it. From an overseas standpoint, but the rest of the time was basically into the Jamaican and the West Indian diaspora. You know,
that's largely in the UK and in New York.
Yeah, you know, that's basically where it was, so to speak, you know. And sometimes I don't know if that play a little in his memory, that he should have gone a little further. But it's just who you have in the camp and who you're working with. And probably he was just comfortable in a little zone doing what he's doing. The songs are great, people are dancing to them, and most of the time it's the local promoters from the overseas diaspora are calling for him.
And those songs are still great songs even today. I mean, revisiting. But I want to ask you this question. We're heading into another last break here, Copeland. And, you know, something I want you to kind of just, you know, process a little bit, because you talk about the mistakes that artists like a Delroy made. I mean, you know, I'm shocked sometimes just going back over his work and this huge catalog of music. And I watched him and his deterioration, because in the latter years, I was living in Jamaica at the time, and you sort of watch this man, this giant of a young, you know, giant of a short man, but a giant nonetheless. And you watch him whittle down to nothing. I want you to focus on this as we take the break. The messaging to the current crop of youngsters or artists now who coming through, in terms of paying attention to the critical elements of the music business. Now that you have had over 60 years, I want you to just process that a little bit. We're going to come back, and I want to take that on as we come back from this last break.
Hi there. If you enjoyed that clip, go on over to our website at yawdmedia.com, where you can watch the entire broadcast at your leisure. And while you're there, why don't you check out our other reggae music features? And before you leave, pick up some of our Jamaican reggae merchandise, and hey, don't forget to tell your friends.